Ok, listo, Verónica. Se me ocurre que explicar a las personas cómo funciona lo de la interpretación. No te escuchamos.
Sí, listo, perfecto. Bueno, buenas noches a todos y todas. Muchísimas gracias por su tiempo. Eh, Vamos, primero que todo, a explicar que hay dos canales. Tenemos dos canales, uno de inglés a español y otro de español a inglés. Entonces pueden pasar al canal que les sea de mayor conveniencia, donde dice interpretación en la barra de herramientas, en la parte, bueno, en la barra abajo, en sus computadoras, y pueden escoger escuchar en inglés o en español, dependiendo de su preferencia. Les agradecemos su puntualidad y bueno, hemos dado un espacio de unos minutitos esperando que más personas se puedan conectar.
Verónica,
Sí,
disculpa. Sí, también hay que decirlo en inglés. ¿Te atreves? Lo de la
sí, porque,
interpretación. Para,
sí, ok, ok, perfecto. Good morning in Malaysia and good evening in Panama. Thank you for your time. Today we have two channels. You can go to the interpretation function in the Zoom. It's below the screen. It's in the screen in the below part, and there you can select whichever language is better for you. It is English or if it is Spanish. And also, you can write your questions in the chat in English or Spanish. So today we will have the support of two interpreters that are helping this initiative about mangrove, and therefore we have both channels, English and Spanish. Please go to this where it's like a word, and then you can pick if you prefer to listen in English or Spanish. Ajá. Ok, bueno, si te parece, mm, empezamos, Renata, o cómo hacemos.
listo,
Ajá.
listo.
Y ahora ya puedo hablar en español, ¿verdad?
Sí, sí, era solamente mientras las personas se conectaban al idioma
A los
que
canales.
necesitaban.
Ok.
Exacto.
Ay, bueno, primero que todo agradecer un montón a Renata y a ya por permitirnos este colectivo esta noche, donde tenemos dos excelentes expositores. Tenemos al doctor y profesor Aldrie Amir, profesor asociado del Instituto de Desarrollo de Ambiente de la Universidad de Kebangsaan de Malasia. Es coordinador de la red y de la Alianza de Investigación de Manglares en Malasia y también pertenece a la UICN, ¿verdad? Como especialista en manglares. Igualmente, pues tiene un doctorado en lo que es ecología de manglares de la Universidad de Queensland de Australia, donde obtuvo su título en el 2011. Tiene una vasta experiencia y mucha pasión por los manglares y tiene muchos deseos de venir a América Latina, así que esta noche le vamos a dar un poquito de sabor de América Latina al profesor Aldri, a quien le agradecemos pues que nos haya acompañado el día de hoy. Sus estudios y su experiencia pues están enfocados en los ecosistemas de manglares de Malasia, alrededor del este Pacífico, en la región este Pacífico, y está pues donde él nos compartirá pues ahí hay muchas dinámicas socioecológicas con estos ecosistemas de manglares, incluyendo lo que es la conservación, el manejo y la gobernanza de este ecosistema que le hemos titulado el mundo maravilloso de los manglares. Así que bueno, esperamos que sea de su completo agrado y provecho el día de hoy lo que nos va a ofrecer el profesor Aldrie. Igualmente del patio tenemos a nuestro querido magister Isaías, que viene de CIAM y pues es biólogo, tiene una maestría en gestión ambiental.
Se congeló Verónica por un momento. Yo tengo el texto aquí. Isaías Ramos tiene una maestría en gestión ambiental, ha trabajado en el Ministerio de Ambiente y en la Autoridad de Recursos Acuáticos de Panamá. Actualmente trabaja en el Centro de Incidencia Ambiental de Panamá, el CIAM. Y con esto, Verónica, ¿ya estás de nuevo? No, todavía está congelada. Bueno, con esto entonces quiero darle la bienvenida al profesor Amir y que por favor inicie con su charla. Buenas noches, profesor Amir. You're still muted, Aldrie. Ah, no, no le podemos escuchar, Aldrie. Está en mute. Por favor, abre su micrófono. Ah, ahora sí.
Okay, can you hear me now? Yeah. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. So good morning from Malaysia. It is breakfast time now in Malaysia, and I think you. I hope all of you are having a nice dinner now, while all of us are speaking mangrove in this discussion. So I will give an overview of mangroves, yeah, from all around the world, and some of the key important components or key important characteristics of mangrove, as well as discussing a little bit of issues, as well as some of the things that we can do together to protect and conserve mangroves. Yeah? And then I will let Mr. Isaiah later to explain a little bit in detail of about mangroves in the region, yeah, in Latin or Central American region. So I hope you can see my screen now. I don't know if it's not working. Hold on.
Sí, lo estábamos viendo. Ahora sí, ya no está.
Hold on here. Okay, I hope you
Yes.
can see my screen now. Okay, all right.
Yes.
All right, okay. So yeah, I will start by introducing to all of you about mangroves. Yeah. I don't know. I think it is called manglares in Latin America. Yes, and it is called hutan bakau here in Malaysia, in Indonesia, and maybe southern Philippines. There are different names for this particular habitat and ecosystem. Yeah, but then they share some of a very important characteristics. Yeah, so. I hope you bear with me. I understand that there will be some confusion later with the languages, but I hope the translator can follow. Yeah? Okay. So what I want to highlight, the first thing about mangrove is the understanding. Commonly, I remember speaking with Veronica. understanding about mangrove is vary, yeah, among people. So some people working in ecology, in environment would know mangrove better than common people which are not connected to mangroves. Yeah. But then we must understand that every one of us, yeah, all of us are actually connected to this habitat and ecosystem. I will explain later. Yeah? All right. So I don't know whether you know this character, but when I was younger, when I was small, I watched this movie. Yeah. So in this movie, there is a character called Clark Kent. So Clark Kent is a reporter, but looking at his style, people don't care so much about him. Eh? But then when people in New York City in that movie are in distress, they have problem, they have issues, they have catastrophe, they have disaster, they call for Superman. So this is when Clark Kent, yeah, from normal person, change into his alter ego, he becomes superhero. So people all around the city, all around the country, all around the world, wanting to see Superman to come to help them, to rescue them. So people feel the sense of safety and sense of security that Superman gave them. Yeah, but actually it is the real person, Clark Kent. Yeah, so this is how I always see, or I always try to tell people how important mangroves are. So people don't care about them, but actually they play very important role in our lives, in the health and safety of the planet. Yeah? But then you must remember that Superman, Clark Kent, they are both in a movie, which is fictional. Yeah? But the enemy that we are facing today are real. Yeah, we see glaciers, yeah, melting, yeah, and then we see a lot of changes happening. In particular, for countries like Panama, you have Atlantic Ocean and Pacific Ocean next to you. So both ocean, the sea level are actually rising, yeah, and many of us don't realize this, and all of this are actually caused by the increase of temperature in the atmosphere. Yeah? So the increase of temperature in atmosphere causes the increase of sea level, and it causes all of these issues that we are facing today. And these are all real, and these are all mainly caused, yeah, by the increase of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So how did that happen? We have been we have been burning a lot of energy, yeah, causing a lot of pollution, which has caused the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere to increase. Yeah. So these are all real enemy, but we don't have Superman to help us. But what we have in this whole world is we have plants. So I know all of you, Veronica, and all of you attending today, all of us breathe oxygen, correct? And we release carbon dioxide. But there are only one group of organisms in the world that absorb carbon dioxide. And these are trees, yeah? Green plants, basically. So they make food for themselves through the process called photosynthesis, of which they require carbon dioxide, they require energy from the sun, yeah? They require a lot of water, nutrient. But then of all group of plants, there are one subgroup that can do it better. So this is what we rediscover, scientists discover so far. Mangroves, yeah, and seagrasses, yeah, they live within the coastal environment. They can do, they can absorb carbon dioxide much better than other types of plants. Yeah? But then, before I forget, don't focus our conservation on mangrove and seagrass alone. They actually require help from other types of forests as well. Yeah. All right, but then it's not just the plants that absorb or keep carbon in the world. Yeah. So we know plants, yeah, they have a leaf, green leaves. Yeah. But then when they get older, when these leaves get older, they turn yellow and they turn brown. So when they turn brown, yeah, the amount of other nutrient is kicked back into the trees, leaving only carbon. So the brown thing is only carbon. So they fall on the ground, but you may notice you don't see a lot of dead leaves on the ground because tides come in and out to wash them away. This doesn't happen on terrestrial land because on terrestrial land, when leaf falls, they wait for microorganism, for bacteria to dissolve them to become organic matter. So that's why you can plant anything on land, they will grow. But in mangrove, you cannot simply do that because tides come in and out. Yeah, but then there are other organisms like crabs, like other herbivores. They feed on this leaf. And some of these crabs, they get greedy. They bring in the leaf. Imagine the total carbon, the carbon in the leaf. They carry it into the soil. So this is how scientists discover that mangrove can keep high amount of carbon in the ecosystem. So far we know mangrove and seagrasses and salt marshes can do this. But scientists are exploring other types of habitat and ecosystems to know more about this. But at this moment, our knowledge is that mangroves, seagrasses, and salt marshes store highest amount of carbon in comparing all other types of habitats and ecosystems. So me and Isaiah today, we will be discussing about just this one type of coastal environment. There are a lot of other types, especially in country like Panama. You have all of these other types of coastal and marine wetlands as well. Similar to Malaysia, because we are both in the tropics. So speaking of the tropics, this is the map I want all of you to memorize, to put in your head. These are the countries that have mangrove forests. So you can see the world is divided into two when you study ecology. So here is in the West Pacific, or some people refer this to the old world. And this is the new world. So comparatively, there are more species and more areas of mangrove in Indo-West Pacific, and lesser number of species and area in the Atlantic East Pacific. And you can see distinctive different in the type of species as well. So we have Rhizophora mucronata and apiculata and several more in the West Pacific. But there in Atlantic East Pacific, you have Rhizophora manglares, for example. So different types of species and different types of mangrove trees grow in these two regions. But technically, this is the most wordy slide, I think. I just want to highlight here that mangroves grow within the intertidal zone. And then they can be referred to as the individual tree or forest or habitat or ecosystem. But don't forget, mangrove is characterized also by the animals, by the fauna that live within it. Because they specialize in mangrove forests alone or coastal environment alone. They cannot live elsewhere. And these are some of other key characteristics, like they can tolerate salt water. They live in a zero oxygen soil. So imagine trees live on a land, on a soil without oxygen. So that's very stressful, right? So you can find them in tropical area and subtropical area, in intertidal zone and sheltered area. And you must understand that they are very fragile, very highly threatened. Although they have very wild animal living in them, and the trees look very strong and sturdy, but they are collectively very fragile. So this is the thing that we need to understand. Okay, so how do we measure mean sea level? Is we get the highest high tide and the lowest low tide. So the average is mean sea level. So when we speak about rising sea level, it is not just the movement of the mean sea level, it is actually the movement of the whole tidal range. So when there is a sea level rise, you will expect this highest high tide to move here. So together with that, the movement of mangrove on land, to landward. But the challenge that we have now is that this area, the urban area, the land area is heavily developed now. So mangrove cannot move landward. And then otherwise, because now the water is becoming higher and higher, so it gives a situation we call coastal squeeze. So meaning mangrove area becoming lesser and lesser. So because they prefer this area because they want to give chance to other types of plants and habitat to grow elsewhere, like seagrasses, coral reefs. All right. So this needs to be understood if we want to help to restore mangrove. This is very important. So this is the typical view of mangrove in the West Pacific, in my region now. 13 hours in front of you. This is the typical view. So the first thing you saw maybe in that picture was the root system. The root system has so many functions, so many roles to play. First, they stand on the soil because I told you just now, there's no oxygen in the soil. So they have to make roots to breathe from the air. So during low tide, they breathe oxygen. And then a few hours later, tides come in. Then they will absorb water for their growth, for the nutrient. And you may notice in the roots also, they have lenticels. So these cells actually is used to filter salt from coming into their bodies. So there are a lot of roles or function played by these roots. So it's not just there for show. They have functions to play. But some of them do this. Some of them look like snorkel. I know a lot of you love to swim, love to snorkel. So they cannot breathe. So they build snorkel instead to breathe in. And then they spread to balance themselves. I know many of you may have been to the mangrove. Like I myself, I'm 60 kilogram. So I sometimes walk and I can fall in the mangrove. So imagine these trees, they are heavier than me. They are 600 kilos, 800 kilograms, 1 ton in weight. So if they grow straight without these roots, they will fall easily. So some of these trees absorb salt accidentally or maybe purposely, but they have to release it back. So what they do, you can check at your nearby mangrove. You will see a lot of salt crystal. These are excessive salt that they don't need for their physiology growth. And this is an example in Malaysia. It's real. So for those of you who love to cook, but you find yourself without a good amount of salt in your house, you can go to your nearby mangrove, manglares. All right. And then another important thing about mangrove is their reproductive mechanism. This is the very important characteristic for mangrove, differ from other plants on land. So in mangrove, they bear fruits. They bear fruit. But because of tides coming in and out, they cannot release their fruit because otherwise the fruit will never turn to become tree. So what they do, what mangroves do, they have evolved for over 70 million years already. So they allow the baby to grow on the parent tree. So this is actually the stem. What you see here, almost similar. This is different species. This is different species, but the characteristic is the same. So this is a fruit. They allow the baby to grow, and you can already see some cells of the roots, growing while they are hanging to the tree. So that's why I always say mangroves are very loving creature. So they allow their babies to grow on them. So when they're ready, they will release. So they will fall. Look at the design, right? The design. So it's very easy for them to grow and take root. And when the tides come in, they are already safe. They already have the root. So they will wait for the parents to die and they will replace them. So this is the natural process happening in mangrove forests. But some other species like Avicennia, here in Malaysia, we have Avicennia alba. Yeah, and here there in Panama you have Avicennia germinans. So these they have smaller fruits or propagules. Yeah, so these can float, and they can actually find a more suitable place elsewhere if they get drifted. Yeah, so look at that in the same spot. In one day, I work in this mangrove. I haven't named the island yet, but while I was working, the tides come in and I have to stop working. It's so hard to work in the water, right? So imagine this is the daily cycle, daily event happening in mangrove forests. Yeah, and they can also create a full-fledged island like this. Yeah, so if you go during low tide, it's like normal forest, but a few hours later, there will be water up to your knee height or maybe your waist height. Yeah, it depends on the area. So I wonder why did mangrove do this? Yeah, so they do this. Yeah, they occur on the coastal area because to provide protection for coastlines. So this is a simulation made by our friends at Delta Res to show you, yeah, the impact of wave, yeah, the impact of tsunami, for example, that happened in Malaysia, in Indian Ocean region in 2004. But tsunami does happen a lot actually elsewhere, like in Japan, yeah, in areas with earthquake. So this has proven, yeah, this is simulation, but in real condition, there are areas, yeah, we have studied that show area with mangrove is protected, yeah, by a mangrove. Yeah? And this is another map to show you. So I want you to overlay the map earlier with the green lines with this one. So you will notice in tropical area, like where we are now, yeah, all across the tropics, like this is Malaysia, here I'm now here, and all of you are here in Panama. So you will notice within this region, there are a lot of natural disaster, yeah, like tropical, like cyclones, like typhoons, like hurricanes. Here in Malaysia, next month, November, December, we will face monsoon. So all of these are tropical storms. So you can match the shape right now, right? Like tropical storm with mangroves in the tropic. So this is the nature's gift to all of us. So here with area with a lot of disaster, nature disaster, you can also find mangrove. So that's the balance that the world, the nature, God has given us. Yeah. So this is the beauty, and we should appreciate this, and we must understand this. I'll give you an example of in India. India and Bangladesh, they face a lot of typhoons every year. So maybe 11, 12 times, 13 times a year. Yeah, but in India and Bangladesh, yeah, in the border of these two countries, you can find the largest single piece of mangrove in the world. Yeah, this is over 100,000 hectares. Over. Yeah, so in Malaysia, yeah, so this is about 140,000 hectares. So big. The mangrove is so huge. So by having that tropical storms, these mangrove actually protect, yeah, community in India and Bangladesh. And at the same time, by being so huge, it provides home for huge apex predator like Royal Bengal tiger. So imagine the tiger, you have tiger living in this mangrove, yeah? So it's so huge. Yeah, this mangrove is so huge, it can be home for tiger. So this is my message to all of you, that we have to try to protect, yeah, as much area as possible to allow for this habitat, this mangrove to become home, yeah, or habitat for tiger, for the food of the tiger, yeah, like this deer, and the food of this deer, and down to smallest organism like insects or microorganisms. Yeah? So in other places, you can find other types of mammals, yeah, sharks, yeah, you can find crocodiles. I know in Panama you have crocodiles, and of course a jaguar as well. And seafood, yeah, you can find seafood, yeah. So this is a view, one of my favorite places in Malaysia. So this mangrove forest, yeah, I mean, when you protect mangrove, it gives you this calmness, you know, you feel relaxed when you go to mangrove forest. But you can ask other people. I want you to like talk to a lot of people. What are their views about mangrove? Yeah. So some developer or contractors or engineers I spoke to, they feel like, this is boring. I think I want to change this into a resort, a hotel, or maybe build something there. I said, no, stop. Because this picture was taken around just before dusk. Yeah. But when I waited and asked them to wait another half an hour, you can see fireflies living in that particular area. Imagine. So if you don't know about this habitat, you don't know. Yeah, if you clear this, you will displace all of these very beautiful creatures. Yeah, they look like Christmas light. Yeah, but yeah, they appear at night. So if you clear mangrove and you don't study them, you don't learn about them, you will not appreciate it. Yeah. So, and other types like this monkey, yeah, they live in Borneo, in mangroves in Borneo. So if we clear all mangroves in Borneo, they will not have any place to live. Yeah, they will find hard time, yeah, to adapt to other habitats. Yeah, and then of course, seafood. Yeah, you love seafood, and I know you will go to your coastal area, coastal villages, coastal towns to get seafood. And do remember that mangroves and other types of wetlands are important stopover for birds, for migratory birds. I think it happens in on your region as well. Like in this region, yeah, birds from Siberia, from Russia, from China, yeah, during winter time, yeah, this coming month, winter time, they will travel down. So when they fly, they will stop over at wetlands like mangrove forests. Yeah? So if we clear mangrove forests in Malaysia, for example, these birds will be lost. Yeah, they will die while flying because they cannot find their favorite stopover. So this is some of the things that we have to consider. Yeah? And of course, not just animals, you can see different types of plants growing in mangrove forests also. Yeah? So this is very important knowledge because if you want to restore mangrove, for example, you need to understand the elevation just now. Remember I told you low tide and highest tide and mean sea level. So different types of plants grow in different area of the mangrove. Yeah. So this is very important to be understood. Yeah. And look at this view. So if you protect mangrove, you can offer this for tourism, for example. And I know there are beautiful mangroves in Panama, and I can't wait to be there to see mangroves in Panama as well. Yeah. So and I mean this is typical view of a mangrove in the tropics. So you see these highlands. This is the source of river. So river flows and they carry water, yeah, they carry nutrients, they carry natural pollutants, they carry sediment. So all of this flowing and they deposit it in mangrove forest before the clean water, yeah, being flushed into the ocean. But the problem we have now is we do a lot of pollution. We put in a lot of pollution in the river and we have lesser and lesser mangrove, yeah, to clean it for us. That's why we have very dirty ocean, and that's why we have very unhealthy water, yeah, because we don't control pollution and we cut a lot of mangroves, yeah, because mangroves are right at the meeting point of the land and the ocean, yeah, so it actually protects seagrass and coral reef, and actually mangrove also help to protect the land, yeah, from disaster coming from the ocean. So it can come, yeah, the pressure can come from all angles, yeah, from land, from rivers, from ocean, from space, yeah. When we speak about climate change, yeah, it can actually cause a higher amount of storms, for example, yeah. So we know, yeah, I know I can see Veronica already, maybe I'm over time, but yeah, just give me another 5 minutes, I will finish this. So we know that we depend on mangrove for a lot of reasons. Yeah. For example, like township, yeah, fishing village, yeah, we depend on mangrove because you cannot just focus on fish in the ocean because fish spend major time in their life in the mangrove, in the coastal area to lay their eggs, for example. And 60 to 75% of their life is actually spent in mangrove forest before they become big and go to the ocean. Yeah. But then if you notice, a lot of civilization actually started off in rivers, in river deltas. Yeah. So and you know what do you have in river deltas in the tropics? You have mangrove. Yeah. So it's the dependency of the food, of the energy, of the clean water, and that's why a lot of civilization actually started off in major river deltas. Yeah. But then the pressure. Yeah. So now, this is a map of Malaysia. And I just want to show all of you that you can see big cities, big towns, growing in Malaysia, in the coastal area in Malaysia. Yeah? And this is where you can find mangrove forests. So you must remember when we started building this village to become town, to become cities, we depend on the resources. But now as we become modernized, we want to become a developed country, just like Panama. You want to become developed country, and your population is increasing as well, right? So this give pressure to the mangrove, And this is one study done by my friends, and Dr. Dan Richards and Dr. Dan Fries. We identified what are the causes, the cause of mangrove loss. So we can do this also for Panama to understand what are the causes. I think Isaiah later will also discuss about this for Mexico, for Panama. So these are some of my final slides will show to you the impacts of mangrove, of mangrove loss. So you see, this mangrove originally would provide benefit for the whole village. But when you allow for aquaculture pond, it will only give richness, benefit to just a handful of people. And then, but the point is, after a few years, these aquaculture pond, they will be left abandoned. So you remember I told you that mangrove keep high amount of carbon in their soil. So when you cut mangrove, the plants, the trees cannot absorb carbon dioxide anymore. That's one. And then when you dig out the soil, you are exposing all the carbon into the atmosphere again. They will be oxidized. Carbon, C, at O2, it becomes CO2 again. So this is why we have to protect mangrove. Because mangrove keeps the carbon for us. But if we clear them, we dig out the soil, we will become the polluter. We will become carbon polluter. That's why we have to work very hard to whisper or shout to our politicians. Tell them we have to stop clearing mangrove because these are the roles that they play. So we have to plan. We cannot allow this kind of development because you see, if you build things like this, we are welcoming disaster. Because remember I told you, the tides. So if we build physical structure, we will spoil the environment. Imagine all the pollutants, the insecticide, herbicide, going into the water. And this will be worse if wave comes in. We will promote erosion. So when erosion happens, it's not just the soil. The whole things, the whole plants, the whole animals will be gone as well. And this will be made worse by sea level rise. And you have to manage your waste as well. I don't know if this is a big issue in Panama, but in other tropical countries in Southeast Asia, from long time ago, they see mangrove, they see wetlands as wasteland. And in some areas, it becomes landfill. So it doesn't make sense, right? Because when tides come in, they will carry the garbage away. It will be displaced. Yeah, so that's why you get this kind of view. I don't know. Maybe it's similar in Panama. I hope maybe later Isaiah can share this with us. But if you have this in mangrove forest, remember the baby trees, if they fall, they cannot take root. They cannot find the soil to become new tree. So this is another challenge that we have in Southeast Asia in particular. Yeah. So if we don't manage our waste properly, imagine if we throw our rubbish outside our window, yeah, it will go. Yeah, it will travel into a drain, into a river, and they will go to the ocean. And this is what happens to animal life, like turtles, like dugongs, like manatees. Yeah, seahorse also, they should feed on sea grasses, but now they're feeding on a cotton bud. Yeah. So there you go. I think this is the end. So my message is that protect what we have left. Yeah, we speak to the government with the authority, whichever mangrove there available, let's try to protect them. Yeah, and if we see a lot of abandoned aquaculture, for example, or abandoned mangrove area which is not protected, let's try to restore it. Yeah. So these are some of the work carried out by local communities. But my final message is that we have to do it with brains. We cannot simply plant mangrove anywhere. Yeah, we have to ask questions like this. Yeah, this is a beach area, so let it stay dynamic. Yeah, it will become mangrove maybe 100, 200 years later, but now we don't force it because we will waste a lot of money and energy. Yeah, this is a guideline made by me and a lot of other friends, mangrove ecologists from around the world. We have come up with guidelines, and this is already translated into Spanish, into French, into Bahasa. So you can download the document for free. And this is a very good guideline, step by step, yeah, to guide you on how to carry out restoration, particularly for NGOs, for communities, mangrove communities around the tropics. We can use this as a guide, very, very clear. So from understanding the status of the land until you want to carry out blue carbon project, for example. And always involve community, government authorities or scientists, or NGO. Please get in touch and get your communities to participate along, because ultimately, we want to enjoy all of these services. Imagine carbon sequestration is just one. There are a lot of other roles that mangrove play. So I'm still developing this list. So hopefully we can finalize it soon. And of course, this is a concern for many countries. They want to get something from protection, right? So yeah, let's discuss this in detail and how to do carbon financing. Yeah. And of course, it's not just the work of me, Isaiah, Veronica. It's actually all of you are involved. If you are if you're an engineer, or if you are good in technology, you can also help by developing sensors, developing technology to help to restore or to monitor mangrove health. And of course, like I mentioned a couple of times already in this talk, politician. You have to speak to politician. We have to communicate all of this knowledge. What Isaiah are doing today is to deliver to you some knowledge to change your perception. And then when we manage to change perception, we will make better decision. So this is what this paper is about. You can download this for free as well. This paper is very important. It can actually help you. It can guide you and explain to you of all the potentials that we have when we protect mangrove. So it's not just me, you here attending in this webinar. It's actually the role of all of us. So this is a formula I use for Malaysia. I hope you can also emulate this for Panama. So what in Malaysia, I initiated the Malaysian Mangrove Research Alliance and Network. I try to get people from different background to contribute to mangrove protection. So it's the work of science, and collaborating with people on the ground, managing and protecting, as well as communities. So this is the formula. But I have to still work very hard. Maybe until the day I die, I still have to work very hard, yeah, to give knowledge as well as to help to protect, yeah, and conserve mangrove around the world. And that's me in Malaysian mangrove. I hope soon I will have a photo with all of you in Panamanian mangrove. Yeah. All right. So ultimately, you may be familiar with this. Yeah. Although I always say like don't tie ourselves to 2030 only. But if you notice, if you protect mangrove, you can answer all 17 goals. Yeah. And then hopefully each country will have their own design of development. But what we want to achieve is make sure the environmental pillar is also protected and not just the human components. Yeah. So I know 40 minutes is not enough to tell everything about mangrove. So you can also still check my website, yeah, for my articles, of my videos, yeah, to stay connected. And I hope to see all of you in Panama soon. And thank you very much for the opportunity.
Agradecemos a Aldrie, un aplauso virtual hasta Malasia esta noche. Estamos muy agradecidos, profesor, por su presentación tan calurosa, apasionada y realmente poniendo muchos temas en la mesa. Definitivamente los manglares, además del carbono azul, nos brindan muchos servicios ecosistémicos que realmente necesitamos valorar. Y sí, por las razones que sean, los manglares hoy día reconocemos que están subvalorados. Y curiosamente es algo que pasa en Malasia, algo que pasa en Panamá, y por eso estamos aquí esta noche, en este colectivo, nuevamente pues con el apoyo siempre de Ya es Ya. Le pasamos entonces la palabra a Isaías. Y pues recordándoles que pueden dejar sus preguntas en el chat y dependiendo de la pregunta vamos a dirigir esta ya sea a Aldrie o a Isaías. Muchas gracias. Adelante, Isaías.
Hola, para empezar, muchas gracias por la oportunidad que nos brindan. Mi nombre es Isaías Ramos, yo soy biólogo del Centro de Incidencia Ambiental. Eh, bueno, la realidad que explicó el doctor Aldrie es muy parecida a la de Panamá, eh, extremadamente parecida. En Panamá no se tiene un gran valor al tema de los humedales y de los manglares en particular. Hay que reconocer que en Panamá se tiene una amplia biodiversidad de manglares. En Panamá, por ejemplo, tenemos para empezar unas 11 especies de manglares que van desde los conocarpus, rizófora, laguncularia, peliciera, y que en este país tan chiquito encuentra una enorme variabilidad. Así que agradeciendo allá y ya y la enorme y valiosa información que nos ha presentado el doctor anteriormente. Bueno, entonces nuestra charla aterriza un poco más local, hablando de cómo estamos en el estado de los manglares en Panamá. Tenemos que recordar antes, y ya lo ha tocado el doctor anteriormente, que además de ser un sitio como sumidero de carbono o un lugar que almacena carbono tanto en el material vegetal como en el suelo, es una importante fuente de recursos forestales, ayuda a la protección costera, regula el clima, lo mantiene más fresco. Es un refugio de plantas y animales, como podemos ver a lo largo de toda Bahía de Panamá, los manglares de David y los diferentes humedales de agua dulce, además de que tiene un gran valor ecoturístico y funciona en la purificación de el agua, entre otros servicios ambientales, además de que es una secuencia que tiene que ver con el manejo de todos los humedales a lo largo de la costa. En el caso de Panamá, por ejemplo, tenemos diferentes políticas, y acá hablaba el doctor, políticas que regulan esto. Sin embargo, muchas veces de ese tema no se cumple. Por ejemplo, tenemos el marco operativo, que es la Política Nacional de Humedales, que es un decreto ejecutivo del 2018, en donde establece claramente que el objetivo de esta política es establecer y garantizar una gestión integral y sostenible de los humedales, evitando nuevas pérdidas y aplicando medidas para la restauración, como anteriormente veíamos, promoviendo su protección, la planificación, la investigación y la sensibilización, es decir, que la gente conozca y valore la importancia para el bienestar humano, tanto de las presentes como de las futuras generaciones. En el caso de los manglares, en Panamá, se calcula aproximadamente que existe unas 187.000 hectáreas en el país, eso de acuerdo a la información del 2021, y estos bosques de manglares se juntan con otra vegetación como los bosques de cativo, los bosques de orey, apenas representando un 4% de toda la superficie boscosa que tiene el país. Sin embargo, a pesar de eso, Panamá es uno de los países de Centroamérica que tiene mayor cobertura en manglares, y en Mesoamérica uno de los sitios que tiene mayor biodiversidad en cuanto a tipos de manglares. Esto lo podemos ver aquí. La vegetación de manglares es extremadamente reducida en relación a otros tipos de superficie vegetal que cubre el territorio. Sin embargo, en Panamá, por desgracia, hemos visto una paulatina pérdida de vegetación por diferentes razones, y los lugares que sobresalen con pérdida de cobertura vegetal, vemos que es Coclé, Darién, la comarca de Buglé, Veragua, sitios que se caracterizan por tener costas importantes, y porque especialmente en la zona del Pacífico se caracteriza por tener manglares. Aquí volvemos a ver cómo a lo largo de los años el tipo de vegetación de manglar y de bosque se ha ido perdiendo a lo largo de diferentes puntos del territorio. Se calcula que en 10 años el país perdió unas 9.000 hectáreas de manglar. Esta noticia es relativamente reciente, de julio del 2023. Principalmente se debe a un cambio en el uso de suelo, a una alteración de los patrones hidrológicos. El agua es vital para los manglares, alterar el ciclo hídrico de los manglares los condena a su desaparición. Existe una paulatina ampliación de la frontera agrícola y pecuaria. Esta ampliación de la frontera ha destruido valiosos ecosistemas a lo largo del país, y el caso de los manglares no es diferente. Hay una explotación forestal ilegal en muchos casos. Existe un proceso paulatino de industrialización y urbanización en los sitios de humedales, y bueno, en muchos casos se puede ver el desarrollo portuario que afecta de diferentes formas a la estructura del manglar. Esta es la ubicación en algunos puntos donde se concentra la superficie de manglar. Disculpe que estoy medio ronco. En la zona aquí norte vemos la acumulación de humedales y bosques de manglar. En la zona de Boca del Toro y Cobarca también podemos ver los manglares de David y San Lorenzo. El sitio Ramsar del Golfo de Montijo, los manglares del sur de Azuero, la continuidad de manglares que va desde Agua Dulce hasta la Boca de Parita, que se congrega esta zona de Chame. Muy importante la cobertura vegetal, la porción norte, que vemos la superficie de acumulación en Colón, principalmente en la costa arriba, y por supuesto los humedales que van de Bahía de Panamá hasta Darién y que concentran la mayor biodiversidad en cuanto a especies de aves, llegando incluso a complementarse con otras zonas de vida y otros ecosistemas asociados al agua. Por ejemplo, en el caso de manglares de David, aquí en morado, que se ve agrandado, lo que vemos es un aumento de la deforestación y de la actividad agrícola, uno de los puntos más graves para todos los humedales. En nuestro caso, es que hay una paulatina degradación de lo mismo, se reduce la calidad de las aguas, que va afectando a su vez al desarrollo de los manglares. Hay cambios en el curso hídrico de diferentes porciones asociados en esta sección, tanto a hidroeléctricas como a otro tipo de proyectos, sin dejar de lado el uso de agroquímicos en la porción alta o media de las diferentes cuencas y que afectan la calidad del agua del sitio. Existe una amenaza portuaria en el caso de esta zona, los dragados subsecuentes y un aumento en la sedimentación. Siempre hay que tomar en cuenta de que el manglar no está solo, el manglar es una sucesión de diferentes ecosistemas. Una vuelta escuché a un biólogo, un compañero, que decía que hay que recordar que los humedales no terminan en la costa o empiezan en la costa, nacen en las montañas. A lo largo de todo ese territorio, las diferentes actividades humanas impactan el desarrollo de los humedales. En el caso del Golfo de Montijo, lo que vemos es un aumento en la especulación inmobiliaria. Hay un problema en cuanto a la titularidad de la tierra y la posesión de la misma. Existe gentrificación en algunas zonas. Hay un amplio uso de agroquímicos y fumigaciones aéreas que afectan a los ecosistemas y también afecta a las personas, a pesar de que hablamos de que es un sitio Ramsar y de que es un sitio próximo a un área de patrimonio de la humanidad, como es Coiba. Hay un aumento en la deforestación. En el caso de Veragua es una de las zonas que presenta mayor tasa de pérdida de cobertura vegetal, degradación de ecosistemas y deforestación, porque muchas estrategias que se buscan para eliminar los humedales es que se va talando poco a poco hasta que los organismos pierden su capacidad de brindar servicios ecosistémicos. Desgraciadamente, el tema de narcotráfico o problemas de tráfico de diferentes tipos está asociado también en esta zona y por supuesto la deforestación. Hablamos de la zona sur de Azuero, en donde uno de los problemas, por ejemplo, aquí es una producción de camarones. Muchas de estas zonas han sido utilizadas y son drenadas y ocupadas para la producción de cultivos. Hay otras zonas que son rellenos y también se da la ocupación y el aumento de pesticidas. En el caso de, por ejemplo, de los famosos manglares de la zona de agua dulce, por ejemplo, existe una amenaza latente en la creación de un puerto en la escasa zona de bosque que ya existe debido a que ha habido un notorio cambio en el uso de suelo y una entrega de concesiones camaroneras y espejos de agua para extraer sal, lo que ha provocado un desplazamiento de manglar y en muchos casos su eliminación. En el caso de agua dulce, aquí vemos la presencia de albinas, de zonas de mayor concentración de sal, y por supuesto la extracción de madera. Sin embargo, un punto donde se da la mayor situación de afectación por el cambio climático, aumento en los niveles del mar, ocurre en la región de Chami, en donde sus manglares, su tierra se ve afectado no solamente por el tema de la deforestación, sino por una paulatina elevación del nivel del mar. En Panamá hay un proceso de sucesión, como es natural que existe en todos los manglares del mundo y los mangles rojos, los rizóforas, cada vez están sometidos a mayor salinidad porque el mar va entrando debido a que el mar aumenta de volumen. En esta zona también podemos observar cómo se entregan esas concesiones para hacer relleno y producción de camarones, un amplio sistema de desarrollo inmobiliario que a pesar del riesgo por cambio climático, continúa en esta zona. Otro punto notable en este sitio es que en este sitio en particular se extrae mucha cáscara de mangle, en especial mangle rojo para utilizarlo en la curtiembre a base de taninos. Esos manglares que son despojados de la cáscara presentan una mayor tasa de enfermedad debido a que la extracción no se realiza de la mejor manera y provoca en muchos casos que los árboles se enfermen y se pierdan. Entonces tenemos un uso que no es aprovechable ni que no es sostenible, solamente por una actividad cultural que podría presentar una alternativa a la destrucción del manglar. Acá vemos los manglares de Darién, más al este del país. En este caso lo vemos sometido a toda una serie de mecanismos de presión, tanto por la pesca, y dirán, ¿qué hace la pesca afectando a los manglares? Bueno, la pesca en muchos casos llega al borde de donde están estos manglares y generan gran cantidad de residuos, desde redes fantasma, plástico y otros productos que son tirados al mar y que llegan, como en el diseño que presentó el profesor, a la costa y van afectando los manglares, además de disminuir la tasa de reproducción de los propágulos. Existe una alta tasa de fumigación. La canalización se da en diferentes puntos por rellenos y cambios de los cursos hídricos. Y uno de los temas recurrentes en esta zona es el problema en cuanto a uso de tierra por diferentes grupos humanos, ya sea negros, indígenas o mestizos, que van ocupando esta zona y le dan diferente utilización, pero además tienen diferente concepción de la tierra, que se pelea entre sí y que no existe un ordenamiento territorial adecuado que permita una debida conservación del mismo. Como podemos ver, eh, como dijo el profesor, necesitamos hacer algo. Existen normas de ordenamiento territorial que tienen que ir más allá de la simple elaboración teórica. Tienen que acomodarse, implementarse tanto en la vivienda, en las tomas de agua, en la construcción de carreteras. Un manglar sano genera beneficios a una población inmediata. Sin embargo, todos esos cambios en el territorio se deben valorar e impedir. Esto que vemos aquí es Venas Azules, un lugar turístico y de importancia. Muchas veces no se considera que ese manglar, toda la biodiversidad de los humedales está íntimamente asociada a la calidad del agua. Si afectamos la calidad del agua, estos ecosistemas desaparecen, pero a la vez, si estos ecosistemas desaparecen, estamos disminuyendo la calidad de vida de las comunidades que dependen. En Panamá, por ejemplo, toda casi la producción pesquera depende de los manglares que son utilizados por estas especies como sitios de cría. Desaparecer los humedales es darle un tiro en el pie, es eliminar toda esa producción pesquera, es disminuir toda la posibilidad cultural que tiene, darle un valor correcto a estos ecosistemas y por eso es tan importante no solamente proteger los ecosistemas, sino recuperar aquellas zonas que ya han sido degradadas. No podemos permitir que una zona que ya fue afectada se pierda. Hay que recuperarla. Como presentó el doctor, existen múltiples mecanismos de recuperación. Incluso muchos ecosistemas de humedal y de manglar a lo largo del país, con tal de que no lo tocaran, tienen la capacidad en cierto grado de regeneración. Así que más que invertir en recuperarlo, lo que hay que invertir es protegerlo para que la naturaleza tenga la capacidad de recuperar con toda esa enorme biodiversidad que existe en este sitio. Así que yo agradezco mucho la oportunidad que nos brindan a todos y bueno, estoy abierto a sus preguntas. Y disculpe la enviado.
Muchísimas gracias, Isaías. Una presentación que realmente nos contribuye a la discusión que pretendemos pues hacer en el tiempo que nos queda, respetando pues la hora y media y pues para dar inicio a esta fase, vamos a lanzar una primera pregunta, tomando en consideración, profesor Aldrie, lo que nos ha expuesto Isaías referente a lo que está aconteciendo en Panamá. Nos resulta interesante conocer cómo han logrado conciliar en Malasia el trabajo con las comunidades. ¿Cómo han logrado o cuáles han sido los retos? ¿Cómo está hoy en día esa gobernanza en Malasia por el uso de los recursos? Isaías nos presentó que hay distintas presiones socioeconómicas en el país. El objetivo de esta pregunta es en las comunidades. Vamos a enfocarnos en las comunidades. O sea, los manglares hay que conservarlos, hay que protegerlos, pero para lanzar la primera pregunta y aprovechar los minutos que nos quedan, ¿cómo han hecho en Malasia ese trabajo?
I'm sorry, I hope I get the question, the translation properly. I think the question was about how government and community work together in conserving and protecting mangrove. Is that the question, Veronica? Okay. Okay, in the case of Malaysia, yeah. Thank you very much for the question. It's very challenging actually, because efforts on mangrove conservation, especially in protection, it involves a land issue. So as in Malaysia, land is a state matter. So if you are familiar with many Commonwealth countries or like in Malaysia, there's a federal government, but then we have different states within Malaysia. So land, anything, all issues regarding land is managed or governed by the state. So this is where a connection in between federal laws and policy with implementation or enforcement at state level is very important. So that's one thing that's happening in Malaysia. But then there are efforts like national efforts to plant mangrove, for example. This is also done or initiated by federal government and federal authority, and it is being enforced or implemented at state level. So forestry department and agencies, government agencies at state, they use or distributed this money and energy to plant mangrove. In many occasions, yes, local communities, NGOs welcome to participate in this effort, but mainly it is government initiative. But there are other initiatives done bottom up, if you like, from local communities. Yeah, but it is very limited because they don't have access or they don't have power on the land itself. So this is the first thing that we have to make it clear as in any conservation or restoration initiative or efforts. Local communities, yes, they know what is happening, yeah, in their area. For example, like if there are degradation of mangrove or disturbances in mangrove, yes, they have to come up because they are the first one to be impacted. For example, like high tides or strong wave or even extreme event like tsunami, they will be the first to be impacted, right? So they care about their surrounding, but they need help because they need maybe expertise in doing this, and they need financial support maybe to do restoration. So this is where communities, yeah, can work closely with scientists, with government authorities, yeah? And this is also a chance for corporate organizations, private organizations to contribute, yeah, because especially in financial support, yeah? And then and then it is not just for restoration. Help or support can also be given to monitor. Yeah, after planting activity, you need to monitor and maintain this initiative. Otherwise, yeah, and this is where communities can play the biggest role because they live there, they know their surrounding, so they can be the eye and ears also for the authorities. Maybe people come in and encroach, right? Or to maybe cut forests or to damage the forest or to throw pollution garbage into the forest, yeah? So communities can play the biggest role here, and to maybe to report or to police this area. So some flexibility would be good, yeah. I mean, authorities, giving some flexibility to community, yeah, to take charge, to take care of their mangrove forest. So yeah, this is some of the little experiences that we have in Malaysia. I hope I answered that question. Yeah.
Muchísimas gracias, Aldrie, por tu respuesta y por enriquecer la forma como podemos en Panamá entonces poder mejorar esa gobernanza y esa articulación entre los distintos actores. Ahora vamos a lanzar una segunda pregunta. Dice, si Isaías nos puede informar sobre la necesidad de conservar los manglares y si nos puede hablar un poco acerca del proyecto del puerto Barú.
¿Por dónde empezamos con Puerto Barú? El Puerto Barú es un puerto que no está en Barú, aunque tenga ese nombre. Se encuentra en una zona que se llama Cabrit. El principal problema que nos preocupa como desarrollo portuario es que para llegar al puerto desde la costa tiene que transitar por una extensa zona que son humedales en buen estado de conservación. Esos humedales en la zona de Bahía Muerta y en otros puntos son sitios donde se acercan ballenas, se acercan delfines, hay toda una comunidad de pescadores que ha vivido con la utilización de ese recurso. Y entonces para permitir el paso de embarcaciones en muchos de los puntos será necesario realizar dragados. Esos dragados afectan la calidad del agua, aumentan la cantidad de sedimento, de particulado, y también tiene el asunto de que debido a las condiciones del río va a ser necesario en algunos puntos ampliar para el paso de embarcaciones ese dragado. Entonces se cambian las condiciones naturales de la zona. Solamente ese manglar en la zona de manglares de David tiene más humedales que la región de Guatemala, por ejemplo, Nicaragua. Es una zona muy valiosa, es un cordón de humedales que va a lo largo de todo el Pacífico de esa zona. Y vemos con preocupación de que se avanzan este tipo de proyectos portuarios que podrían realizarse en otros lugares y que presentarían menos afectación a los ecosistemas y podrían tener una mejor utilidad sin necesidad de tener el potencial de generar impacto sobre la zona.
Isaías, te agradecemos realmente la información que nos has previsto para la opinión pública, porque bueno, un público informado es un público que puede hacer valer sus derechos y pues aplicando los conocimientos podemos llegar a algún cometidos más asertivos. Definitivamente el proyecto le preocupa a los que muy probablemente estamos aquí reunidos. Bueno, hay todo un trabajo por delante por hacer, donde ahora nos encanta que esté con nosotros Omar López, que es nuestro especialista uno de nuestros especialistas en manglares en Panamá, profesor Aldrie, para su conocimiento. Entonces, bueno, es investigador tanto de Senacid como de una institución de investigación, una Secretaría Nacional de Investigación de Panamá, y pues también está con el Smithsonian Tropical Research Institute. Así que con todo gusto, adelante, Omar.
Sí, muchas gracias por la oportunidad y gracias por este espacio que están generando discusión sobre un tema tan importante como son los manglares. Esta pregunta va dirigida al doctor Aldrie. Pues la voy a hacer primero en español y luego también la puedo hacer en inglés. Y la pregunta tiene que ver con la necesidad de un manejo más dinámico de las zonas de manglar. Porque ante el cambio climático y el elevamiento del nivel del mar, los manglares no los podemos seguir viendo como unidades discretas. Tenemos que pensar que son humedales que pueden moverse tierra adentro y sus especies pueden migrar hacia adentro. Quería preguntarle al doctor si en alguna parte del mundo se está contemplando este tipo de manejo, un manejo más adaptativo. No podemos seguir pensando en los manglares en la manera en que los conocemos, sino que tenemos que incluir terrenos aledaños para poder que las especies puedan migrar y adaptarse y seguir teniendo manglares. So the question is, Dr. Aldrie, whether you know of cases of more adaptive management for mangroves and not treat them as just discrete units, because of sea level rise makes the mangroves encroach to if we treat them like a discrete unit. So whether there is adaptive management somewhere in the world of cases that are including, inside or inland areas for the mangroves to migrate. Is there any case that you know or any proposals going around the globe to more adaptive management for mangroves given sea level rise?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Omar, for the question. This is very good question. I mean, there is an awareness, within you and of course your community, I hope. And it is a challenge, like I highlighted in the slide my presentation just now. So coastal squeeze and then migration or zonal shift, we call it in ecological study. So now when sea level rises, mangrove will have to like move landwards or upward, in this case, and it requires planning from now. You are right. So adaptive management, one of the approaches to go is to have a comprehensive marine spatial planning. So you are very right. We cannot see mangrove as just mangrove, and we cannot manage mangrove just within the boundary or the border of mangrove. We have to see coastal environment, coastal area, as not a separate habitats, but as a connected ecosystem, yeah, or zone, if you like. So this is a challenge because mangrove lies in between, yeah. I mean, like in between land and ocean most of the time, and it involves area like estuaries, river deltas, and stuff like that. So if we look at mangrove, if we look at seagrasses, if we look at coral reef, or if we look at river system separately, this is what we get now. So the best way to go, yeah, is to manage this zone, if you like, or to monitor it, or to control development within this area with consideration of dynamic processes that you mentioned just now. So we must understand that dynamic coastal area is very dynamic, meaning it changes, and then the time frame can vary as well. So, like formation of bays, for example, can take tens and hundreds and thousands of years, but recently, yeah, with higher amount or higher intensity of wave and currents as well as nature disasters, this process can become faster now. So this must be considered within this spatial planning, if you like, coastal or marine spatial plan. Yeah. And then, of course, urbanization. Yeah, there are arguments now. Yeah, trying to push or highlight all the positivity of urban development and the connection with coastal environment. But we have to focus or look at it at local stage, at your place, because it is different. We cannot use the same model for maybe Malaysia or Indonesia, yeah, to apply it for Philippines or China. Is different, right? And the same goes with in Atlantic East Pacific. So the same formula for United States in Florida, for example, may not be applied in Colombia, for example, right? So it has to be designed or tailored according to the area. So yes, urbanization. Um, or development, coastal development, town development in coastal area must consider this dynamic process, because we have to make projection. We have to make trajectory of how much higher the tides and wave, yeah, can be in the next 1 or 2 to 5 to 10 decades from now. So urban planning must consider this by, for example, we cannot go horizontal anymore, because developed area or urban area is getting, will also be squeezed, when sea level rises, right? So we may have to plan for, vertical development compared to horizontal development. That's one. Retreating. This is another adaptation, meaning retreat, meaning we have to escape from coastal area now. Yeah, we have to give some time, yeah, for this coastal area to recover, if you like, or for us to restore and rehabilitate them. So while doing that, yeah, retreating from coastal area is a step or an option for adaptation towards climate change. So these are some of the actions being taken already by a lot of countries and government. Because maybe Panama, Malaysia are still very lucky because we have space still for communities. But think about our friends in Indian Ocean, for example, or Atlantic or Pacific Ocean. Yeah, in Pacific Ocean in particular, some of these islands are already being inundated by water. So this can cause, one of the impact of climate change is migration. Yeah, people need land to live, right? So they may need to escape from their country to other countries, with space for them to live in. So this is another challenge. Also, when we plan for coastal development, in preparation, to mitigate or adapting to this situation, we have to also consider the well-being of communities, not just our community, as well as neighboring countries as well. We need to maybe provide space for them. So there you go. This is where science is very important, yeah, Umar? Science is very important to support management or adaptive action, yeah, taken by authorities and countries. Yeah? And this is where also communities, yeah, must be involved in the planning. I mean, government authorities cannot only make the decision, they have to also consider the emotion, yeah, the sensitivity of communities, to carry this out. Yeah, yeah. I hope that answers, Omar. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Muchísimas gracias, profesor Aldrie, y muchísimas gracias también, doctor Omar, por su intervención. Tenemos acá un comentario de Chelina Batista. Nos comparte que la desembocadura del río Chiriquí Viejo tenía manglares que habían sido reforestados por la autoridad del Canal de Panamá como mecanismo de compensación, pero que, bueno, se puede tener la duda, pues en la opinión pública, si realmente las autoridades competentes están en estos manglares tan importantes, protegiéndolos. Luego, pues también de esta compensación que se realizó, que hay en esta zona tenemos especies endémicas como la cotinga, pico amarilla, entre otras. Muchísimas gracias, Shelina, por elevar tu voz, poner tu comentario y pues hacernos saber lo que piensas en este momento. Como tenemos una pregunta más y nos hemos mantenido consistente el número de participantes en la reunión, vamos a lanzarla. Así que los que estamos acá es porque estamos muy interesados. Esta es tanto para el doctor Aldrie como para Omar, y por supuesto, Isaías, si quieres saltar en la respuesta, adelante. No tenemos la siguiente pregunta. ¿Qué ustedes saben sobre la elevación de la temperatura, o sea, sus límites máximos? ¿Cómo esto puede afectar la fisiología de los manglares? ¿Y qué esto significa para el futuro de estos ecosistemas alrededor del mundo? Adelante, Omar, y después podemos seguir con Aldrie e Isaías.
Gracias. Sí, en el caso, creo que los casos más estudiados y localmente, para que sepan, en el equipo del doctor Klaus Winter y Martijn, olvido su apellido, son dos investigadores del Smithsonian que llevan a cabo algunas investigaciones con relación a estas tolerancias térmicas bajo cámaras con CO2 elevado, con temperatura elevada, que se realizan en el área de Gamboa. Tengo entendido por comunicación verbal con uno de ellos que estas especies pueden tolerar relativamente altas temperaturas. No sé los límites, pero ellos son los que están llevando a cabo este tipo de investigaciones. Y en el caso te puedo decir que no son tan sensibles. Por supuesto van a tener un límite por ser especies biológicas, van a tener sus límites, así que no tampoco es que podamos darnos el lujo de exponerlas a más altas temperaturas, ¿no?
Yes, so different species will have different tolerance to temperature. So particularly, there are a lot of studies in the West Pacific. So this is also the characteristic, actually, determination that determine the distribution of species. For example, in this part of the world, Avicennia marina is known to be the to be best distributed meaning they can be found in the northernmost limit of mangrove as well as southernmost limit of mangrove, and they can be also found in a Middle East, meaning in the extreme temperature, they can tolerate this temperature. So not all species can do that. So this is where we need again ecological studies, yeah, to understand the physiological adaptation of mangrove with temperature. And not just the heat, yeah, the hot temperature is also the freezing temperature. So some of these species can tolerate really cold temperature. And that's why also again, Avicennia marina can grow in South Japan, for example, because they have winter. So they have this extreme cold and they have extreme hot temperature. So not all species can tolerate this. So that's why you will see different of species distribution from equatorial belt, yeah, to tropics of Cancer and tropic of Capricorn. Yeah, so the highest distributed area or widest distribution, like for example Avicennia marina, can do that. But then, yeah, so in America side, in Atlantic East Pacific, you may find a new mangrove area being encroached further north or further south, right? So this actually relates, yeah, to rising temperature in the water. Yeah, so because mangrove plants in general, yeah, they tolerate warm water, yeah, influenced by the heat, yeah, the hot water coming from equator. Yeah, so now the worry, I mean, it is a worry, in particularly in the US, for example, like mangrove are encroaching further north now. Yeah, so we have to be prepared for this as well. Do we treat them as invasive species, or do we allow them to dominate this area because now it becomes natural? Yeah, for I mean the setting becomes natural for them now. So how do we adapt to this? This is another challenge that we need to also tackle, yeah, in this coming future years and decades. So there you go. I hope that answers the question as well. So migration is not just at locally, meaning they move inland or I mean upwards, but they can also move, I mean, not to the northern hemisphere and to the southern hemisphere. So this migration, yeah, I mean pole migration or zonal shift within local area. So that is a challenge, and we need to be ready for this. So that's why normally mangrove is a transition. We know that from land to ocean, but before, right, from land to mangrove, there should also be natural areas which act as a buffer. So we always say mangrove as buffer, but mangrove also needs buffer, yeah, to play that buffering role, meaning from ocean, you will see mangrove, yeah, but before that, maybe seagrasses and coral reef. But then after mangrove, yeah, before land, there should be also natural area transition, yeah, from mangrove to the build-up area. So this actually allow for movement of animals, for example, yeah, and then other ecological processes, yeah, happening in the coastal area. So this must be considered, at local level. Yeah? Thank you.
Muchísimas gracias. Le damos el paso entonces a Isaías
Ok,
para cerrar
podría decir
entonces
que
con...
la pregunta nos lleva a cuestionarnos de dos maneras. La primera, espero que no se haya congelado. ¿Ok? Nos lleva a cuestionarnos de dos maneras. La primera es la necesidad de que esa información científica en todos los temas en el país se traduzca en las políticas públicas y se implemente de manera concreta. Es insuficiente tener estudios paper y demás, si las autoridades no son conscientes de que se genera información, de que esa información es relevante y de que hay que aplicarla. Ya los conocedores están elaborando información. Lo que hay que hacer es usar esa información. Y dos, también tiene un compromiso con los ciudadanos, porque al estar cambiando los ecosistemas, eso implica que las actividades productivas y culturales de las personas que están asociadas a esos ecosistemas van a cambiar. Tiene que haber un proceso de educación para que la gente se aclimate, se adapte a las nuevas condiciones, sabiendo que los ecosistemas no son fijos, son móviles, cambian, se adaptan con el tiempo y que asimismo el ser humano, si lo que busca es un manejo sostenible de todos esos ecosistemas, tiene que adaptarse a la realidad de ahora, que ya no es la de hace 100 o 200 años, y que existe mucha más información que debe ser utilizada en beneficio de esa protección y en garantizarle seguridad a la gente. Es decir, hay que usar la información. Agradezco la oportunidad que nos brindan de contestar.
Muchísimas gracias, Isaías, muchísimas gracias, Omar, Aldrie, y por supuesto, gracias por contribuir con el colectivo que somos de Ya es Ya. Ha sido muy enriquecedora la información que nos han compartido y como nos dice Isaías, acá está el conocimiento científico, a lo que tenemos, definitivamente, como mencionó Aldri, elevarlo a esas políticas públicas, a nuestros gobernantes, y pues es una lucha constante, son muchos frentes, escojan su ecosistema y luchen por él, porque son muchas luchas, eh, y pues los que somos amantes de los manglares, este es un primer webinar esperando pues poder compartir con ustedes mucho más y el profesor Aldri con muchas ganas de venir a Panamá. Esperamos pues en un futuro cercano contar con pues definitivamente Omar, con Isaías y con Aldri pues acá eh, todos juntos para seguir discutiendo y viendo cómo realmente traducir esa ciencia que aquí la tenemos, acá están las evidencias y pues moverla a la opinión pública y respaldar a las comunidades que son el primer frente de batalla y que son las primeras que están sufriendo las consecuencias de la crisis climática. Muchísimas gracias nuevamente y que tengan una muy linda velada. Saludos.
Hasta luego, muchas gracias a todos. Gracias, Verónica.
Hasta luego,
Gracias,
gracias.
Renata.
Nos vemos
Bye.
pronto. Chao.
Gracias.
Gracias, Audrey.
Thank
Hasta
you. Thank you very much.
luego.